Hello, welcome to ONTIC's Connected Intelligence Podcast. I'm Fred Burton, ONTIC's Executive Director of Protective Intelligence. This podcast offers valuable insights and practical advice to help you navigate the complexities of modern corporate security shared by leaders and innovators in the field. Now, on to the discussion. Hi, I'm Fred Burton here today with my old friend Ken Sensor. Ken is a veteran security executive with more than 40 years of experience in global security operations, crisis management, and enterprise security leadership. During his 15 plus years at Walmart, he led global programs across security, investigations, corporate aviation, and corporate travel. Before Walmart, Ken served with both the CIA and FBI, where he helped transform the FBI security program following the Hansen espionage case by establishing the Bureau's first dedicated security division. Today, he serves as Chief Strategy Officer at Corporate Security Advisors, advising organizations across multiple industries on security strategy and risk management. Ken, welcome to the ONTIC Connected Intelligence Podcast.
Thanks, Fred. It's great to be here, and it's good to see you again.
Well, first, I want to thank you so much for your wonderful testimonial blurb you wrote for Scotty Stewart and I in our book, The Protective Intelligence Advantage. That was very kind of you.
Thanks, Fred. As I've told you before, I never go anywhere without it. It's an outstanding read for the professional and the novice alike.
Well, you're very kind. Ken, for the background of our listeners, how long have we known each other? I was trying to figure that out myself.
Well, Fred, it's been well over 20 years. I think we first met around 2004. I was at Walmart and made contact with you at Stratfor. And we were in the process of establishing what at the time we considered one of the first proactive threat intelligence programs on the corporate side.
Absolutely. It's been a long time, Ken. At a strategic level, Ken, how do you view the difference in the risk environment from our early government days to today?
Well, Fred, when I entered on duty with the CIA in 1983, I could have easily misunderstood references to cyber and mistaken them for a discussion about a cyborg because physical threats were physical. But today, physical threats have a significant online and digital component. And this, as you know, significantly complicates the risk environment from both protective and response standpoints.
Ken, the 80s were a busy time for us in the physical protection space and as professionals working these problems. Obviously, the kidnapping of Bill Buckley, the bombings at the Beirut Embassy, and the Marine Corps barracks are just three examples. What has changed as you look back over that time frame?
Well, Fred, you're the expert on this, so please bear with me with the oversimplification. But in the 80s, the attacks were large scale. They required significant planning and logistical networks and were primarily focused overseas. And so, as security professionals, we developed logical ways to counter these threats. Massive physical security investments like fortifying U.S. embassies, enhanced aviation security measures in response to hijackings and things like the Pan Am explosion over Lockerbie. And then this drove attackers over time to softer targets, asymmetrical operations, and lone actor attacks. I was actually at the CIA in January 1993 when Mir Amal Khanzi attacked and killed CIA employees waiting at a traffic light outside the headquarters building in McLean. And this was one of the first of those kinds of attacks as they began transitioning in the 90s and into the 2000s.
Yeah, that was a dark day and time period for us all. A lot of tragedy, and fortunately, tragedy kind of forces change in the government, and I think we did a pretty decent job of adjusting over the years. And it's interesting, Ken, as we look back and obviously the assassination of Charlie Kirk and the murder of Brian Thompson, clearly boards of directors have now taken a keen interest in executive protection. What are you seeing from your end based on the kind of strategy and consulting work that you do?
You're absolutely right, Fred. And I think boards first started taking notice of security in the early 2000s on the cyber side. And there were a whole series of attacks, whether it was uh, TJX, Heartland Payment, Target, and they began to realize that security was more about continuity of operations, preservation of enterprise value, regulatory exposure, strategic competitiveness, and in some cases, organizational survival. That realization on the cyber side has now taken place on the physical side, and more at a converged level, because they understand that executives face threats from doxing, swatting, online stalking, business email compromise, and a whole host of other attacks that have a digital nexus.
Ken, I know you do a lot of work with clients. So, what approach do you recommend companies take when thinking about executive protection? Do you need to be a large company to worry about it?
No, not at all. In fact, every company should be thinking about it. And it all starts with understanding an executive's exposure and risk. And so when we talk with clients, we talk about understanding executive security within that broader risk framework. So, for example, developing processes to understand the full scope of digital and physical threats and defining the risk threshold. Every principal, their family, and the company itself has different tolerance for risk. Secondly, we talk to companies about developing strategies, not just executing tactics. And then finally, talking about establishing partnerships across the company among all the stakeholders so these programs can be most effective.
Ken, are you seeing any kind of specific event or trend that gives you cause for pause at this moment in time?
Well, clearly, one of the most concerning trends focuses on the contempt that you see for corporate executives and just the general um erosion of trust in institutions, and these online vitriol filled emails and rants that are directed towards companies today.
Yeah, and it's really troubling, Ken. And I know you follow this closely. If you just look at the support that Luigi Mangione has received and continues to receive after that horrific murder of Brian Thompson, it's just shocking. I know back in the day, there was always support for assassins, whether it be a Sirhan or heck, even John Wilkes Booth. But I think the social media aspect has just thrown like kerosene onto this.
Yeah, there's been a number of sites that have popped up that actually publish the personal information for CEOs now, which provides a lot of targeting information, and in some sense strategically has actually turned the attack methodology on its side.
Yeah, and that's the reason why those in this business or in the protective intelligence space, executive protection space, really need to stay on top of these kinds of posts and try to gauge that kind of deterioration, or when those individuals turn from being that typical howler to like a hunter and physically going after somebody. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. And just to elaborate that on a bit, back in the day, somebody would have a grievance, they'd have a target in mind, and then they would do the research to begin building the attack plan. But as I mentioned today, it starts with some sort of personal data leak or incident that creates a set of targets, and through social media amplification, creates then the desire in the attacker to begin the plan. So, as I had said earlier, it, in a sense, turns the process on its side.
We'll get back to the conversation in just a moment. But first, I wanted to let you all know that there's an easy way to stay informed about ONTIC's upcoming events and new resources. Subscribe to our monthly newsletter to get updates sent directly to your inbox. Join the 20,000 plus security professionals who are already receiving these insights and sign up today. The link to subscribe is in the episode description. Do you think companies or organizations can? I mean, you've did unbelievable work at Walmart, just transforming the security division to really the gold standard. Do you think physical security programs today are kind of stuck in an outdated model, or do you think we're, from what you see in the work you're doing, are individuals moving ahead with new technologies, new process and procedures?
I think the leading edge companies are moving forward rapidly into new ways of addressing this threat. And and so those leading edge programs are not just investing in, protective agents or physical security enhancements. It's truly an integrated program that matches protective intelligence with executive privacy, cyber hardening, improved state of the art behavioral threat assessment, travel and event security, along with the whole crisis communications and response competency.
Ken, do you think that the lone actor threat has evolved or changed from the 1980s to now, or is it persistent, the same kind of MO constantly surfacing?
Well, I think the threat has been persistent. I think in many ways the prevalence has increased. Again, going back to this social media factor and the ability to collect targeting information without becoming known to the protectors. And so, therefore, I think it's a much more potent threat today than it was previously.
You know, Ken, as you look back on our collective careers and you look at the intelligence gaps we suffered from and the loss of life and the misery basically directed towards our industry in general, do you think we're doing a better job today of filling those intelligence gaps?
Without a doubt, I think this has become a standard practice in terms of protective intelligence and the need for it. And I think the focus today is on helping programs mature to that next level. And there will be a next level as AI continues to improve and become more robust. The adversaries are using it. And so, therefore, the protectors have to do the same.
Do you see a lot of companies utilizing AI in the field as you go about doing advice and consultation with companies and executives?
We find a lot of companies who are interested in understanding how to better use AI. Right now, I think a lot of the AI is focused on uh, replacing what we used to think of as a Google search, right? So going out and finding sources and integrating all that information. But the AI of the future is going to become process based as you truly build a holistic protective intelligence program.
Do you think executives have changed their thought process toward security, meaning more are accepting the need today in our modern day risk environment?
I do. And I've personally seen in working with CEOs a move from what was clearly reluctance to at least an acceptance today. Now, there's a great deal of humility where they feel like, who would want to do something to me? But there's a recognition that they represent their company, the brand, the value of the brand, and the fact that by not taking steps, they are potentially adding to a loss in the company's value and reputation.
Ken, you've been around the industry for quite some time now. What advice would you give to those individuals wanting to get in this space? Or, I guess, better put, what lessons would you pass along from a mentorship perspective to those young security officers wanting to get ahead in their either their current organization or looking to be a chief security officer one day?
I would say that, have patience, right? Uh, Build skills, understand how to develop relationships, which many times, particularly for the close protection agent, they're on the road a lot, they're not in the office. Take the time to cultivate relationships, not just with principals who they see on a daily basis, but with all the stakeholders that support the security program behind the scenes. And building those strong relationships are going to pay dividends down the road.
As you look out over the horizon, Ken, what keeps you up at night, or where do you see us as an industry, let's say 5 years from now?
I think it's going to look very different, Fred, and I think we have to really dive into the types of threats that come from the proliferation of technology and AI. That's AI enabled impersonation, of your executives, principals, all the things that are occurring there. Um, that leads, as I mentioned before, to things like the doxing, swatting, exposures of the family, which then drive those grievance based attacks. And I think there's going to be a lot more online radicalization and copycat type attacks, as well as insiders. So a lot to think about as we move into the next 5 years.
Yeah, truly, it gives you pause for cause. And if you think of like the rapid changes we've seen over the years, it used to be, you know, heck, I remember back in the day, you would have to call around companies trying to find whether or not they had a security individual that could help you with a problem, whether it be an employee involved in some sort of incident overseas or whatever. And today, just the industry has got so many specializations, it seems like.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think a CSO for a large company has to become much more integrated into the business. It's not just about your expertise in security, but it's being able to work at the C suite level as a business partner, being able to speak the language of business and to translate the value that security is bringing to the bottom line.
Ken, do you miss your days with the agency or over at the Bureau?
Uh, I do, but then that passes quickly, Fred. I see the kinds of issues that folks are dealing with today, and it's just mind-boggling. And my hat truly goes out to those professionals today who have that responsibility.
Yeah, I miss the clowns, but not the circus.
A good way to put it.
Now, Ken, we ask every guest this question, so I'm not putting you on the spot, but I figure there's nothing I could throw your way that you couldn't handle anyway. What does the phrase connected intelligence mean to you?
That's a great question, Fred. I think it ties into all the things we've just been discussing because I view connected intelligence as the result of a smart, adaptive, decision making system that is created through linking of people, technology, data systems, artificial intelligence into a continuously learning system. And I think, again, as I mentioned, as AI gets more capabilities, these systems are going to be running 24/7. And they will know when to bring that security professional in the GSOC into the conversation as a change in the risk environment takes place. It's really exciting to think about the benefits that will come, but equally concerning to think about the attack space that comes with that.
Well, in closing, Ken, I want to thank you for not only your friendship, your mentorship, your service to our great nation, what you have given to the security community, and what you continue to do in this industry. So, thank you so much for joining us today on the OnTIC Connected Intelligence podcast.
Thanks, Fred. And it's truly a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation. And I look forward to all the great things that you're doing, to include your new book that's going to be coming out July 3rd. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much, Ken. Thanks for listening in. To find more episodes, visit us at ontic.co/podcasts. Don't forget to rate and subscribe on your streaming platform of choice. Know someone who would be a great podcast guest? Or have questions you'd like us to answer? Email us at podcast@ontic.co. This episode was produced by AJ McKeon. And I'm Fred Burton. Thanks for listening.